We are moving on to discuss tracts of a spinal cord. A spinal cord. Now, first understand the meaning of some term like fascicle. It is a collection of nerve fiber within the CNS and have same origin and same course and termination. Same origin, course, and termination. And collection of nerve fibers. Collection of nerve fibers. Then there is another one is funiculus. Collection of tract. It is collection of tract having different origin, destination and function. Stone and fasciculi means the tract or lemniscus. Its meaning of like tract or lemnisci. Now moving on, there is like some ascending and descending tract. A spinal tract of a spinal cord. These are two types: ascending and descending. Ascending is sensory, descending is motor. Now there is division of column. Like when we discuss based on column descending tract and their ascending tract. Ascending tract. Moving on, like in previous video we have discussed like anterior wide column, lateral wide column and posterior wide column. Anterior wide column, lateral wide column, then posterior wide column. And then we discuss like in which wide column which type of tract, ascending or descending, which or there by the name. Like in anterior wide column there is anterior cortico spinal tract. Then there is tectospinal, vestibulospinal, and then medial reticulospinal. This tract in found in the anterior wide column. We can look in this image. This is anterior wide column. This is whole anterior wide column. And interior wide column we are go discuss with the motor or descending tract. So we can look. Here is tectospinal tract. Then there is this is vestibulospinal tract. This is vestibulospinal tract. And at the side olivospinal tract. And there is medial reticulospinal tract, and also there is these all are in the anterior. So when we discuss regarding the ascending, in the ascending there is anterior spinothalamic tract. anterior spinothalamic tract. And one thing I want to make clear, like if this is brain and this is spinal cord, okay, pons medulla, in this region pons and medulla. So moving on this, if the nerve originate from cortex or the higher center to the coming in the spinal cord, and it is like if origin is cortex and then cortex in the initial cortico and is coming in the spinal cord, so corticospinal tract. Or if there is origin in the like the root the origin in the spinal cord and going in the cortex, so in the initial there is a spino and cortical tract, like in that way this is divided. So by looking in this, if there is corticospinal means descending from the cortex to the spinal, like tectorospinal from the tectum to the spinal, vestibulospinal or medioreticulospinal, so it is descending, origin is initial and there is insertion. So and same way here is a spinothalamic, its origin is a spine and it's go inside go and give rise to in the thalamus. So a spinothalamus go and join in the nucleus of the thalamus, so there is the spinothalamus. So moving on this image, so when we look in this portion, there is the ascending tract, and in the anterior side or it is sensory. So ascending tract, sensory, there is like anterior spinothalamic tract is going, you can look from the anterior. Now moving on the lateral white column. In the lateral white column there is descending some tracts like lateral corticospinal, then rubrospinal, then lateral reticulospinal and olivospinal. These are the in the lateral compartment, lateral white column. So we can look in this image in the lateral region. These are the lateral. So there is lateral corticospinal tract cross the pyramid tract. Then there is a rubrospinal, then lateral reticulospinal tract, and these are there is hypothalamic tract. You can look in this image, and also by the in this chart there is for completing these three, and then we discuss this after that the image. Okay, in the posterior white column, going in the for the ascending, in the ascending, like there is ascending, there is lateral spinothalamic tract, then anterior spinocerebellar tract, then posterior spinocerebellar, and then spinotectal and spino-olivary. In looking in this image in the lateral side, okay, there is laterospinocerebellar tract, and for going to like this is the lateral portion of ascending tract, and when we look, there is laterospinothalamic tract, then there is anterior spinothalamic tract. This is lateral spinothalamic tract, then anterior spinothalamic tract, then posterior spinothalamic tract, and then dorso. These are in the ascending column of ascending tract in the white column, lateral white column. Now moving on the posterior white column. For the ascending, for the descending there is no any tract, but in the ascending there is two tract. One is gracilis, fasciculus gracilis, and then fasciculus cuneatus. This is known as tract of Gall, and this is known as tract of Bodach. Looking in this image, there is for the descending, there is no any descending in the posterior. So in this image we can in the lateral side, these root are called cuneatus, and in the medial side, this is in the medial side, this is the lateral side. So in the medial side there is a gracilis, fasciculus gracilis, tract of Gall. And one thing make it clear, it both are the same sensory tract. So like from the, if we look, this is a spinal cord, and in the posterior region, from the lower limb to going the nerve fiber in the posterior white column, and ascending it's go in the medially, but from the upper limb go in the laterally. So and from the lower go in the medially. So going this type, these nerves are branches of this are bundle of this are known as, this is fasciculus gracilis, but from this is lateral side, from the upper body, so it is cuneatus. This is regarding ascending and descending tract. So we move on this image. Now we can relate. For the ascending tract, if from the spine, this is a spinal cord, medulla, pons, and midbrain. Okay, and going which nerve from origin to their target location. So if this is, so all are originated in the spinal cord, and for looking this from the spine, spinothalamic to the thalamus, and this is known as a spinothalamic tract. And if in the midbrain there is a tectum, and in the midbrain there is tectum, from the spine to the tectum, which is known as a spinotectal tract. From the spine to the, there is the anterior spinocerebellar and posterior spinocerebellar, and there is like if we look for the anterior spinocerebellar tract, it's go and it's inserted from the superior caniculi, but when we look for the posterior, it's go from the inferior caniculi and go in the cerebellar cortex. For the descending, if originate from the cerebral cortex, go inside the spinal cord, so known as corticospinal. If originate from the tectum of the midbrain, then it's called tectospinal. If originate from red nucleus of the midbrain, then it is known as rubrospinal tract. These are the some ascending and descending tracts. So moving on specific tracts, like first discuss corticospinal tract. This is a spinal tract, and this is corticospinal. From this origin is the cortex, and it's in the spine. Now discussing regarding this, 70% of like 70% of this crosses opposite side of the pyramidal desiccation of the medulla and descend as lateral corticospinal tract, and uncrossed fiber. There is from origin 75% go as the lateral. Here we can look crosses and from lateral corticospinal tract. What the 25% of going as a anterior corticospinal tract. Anterior 25% or uncrossed go as anterior as corticospinal tract. If this upper motor nerve is damaged, so there is like loss of voluntary, like damage, then loss of voluntary movement in the opposite half of the body, opposite half of the body. This is regarding corticospinal tract. There is some major descending tract like lateral corticospinal tract. This is lateral corticospinal tract, and then there is anterior corticospinal tract we have discussed. Then rubrospinal tract. Moving on the rubrospinal tract, from the red nucleus of midbrain and going the spinal tract is known as rubrospinal tract, and this present terminate in the anterior horn cell. But this cortical spinal have two, anterior and lateral. So when look for the anterior, it's also both are terminate in the anterior horn cell, and both have control of function. When look for the function of both, there is like control of conscious skill movement of the hand, finger, and feet toe, like control conscious skill. For the when you look for the rubrospinal, its function is like unconscious coordination of movement like control muscle of tone and synergy. For the and there is tectospinal. For the tectospinal, I think it's better to the like making a chart, and we need to discuss. So in next video we have discussed like that way, making a chart and comparing all nerves.